Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander.
And welcome to another episode of our card spotlight series in which I highlight a card that I think should see more play in Commander. But before that, just a quick reminder to click subscribe if you enjoy my videos. We're well on our way to 1 million subscribers and your support means everything to me. And today we're going to be talking about Eldrazi Monument. For 5 colorless, it's an artifact that says creatures you control get +1/+1 and have flying and indestructible, and at the beginning of your upkeep sacrifice a creature. If you can't, sacrifice Eldrazi Monument. So I remember when this card first came out in Zendikar Standard, and this was incredibly powerful. There was a whole deck called Eldrazi Green that just relied on spamming small creatures and then dropping this as your finisher, because it just made all of those small creatures very difficult to block by having flying, and then it was very difficult to deal with because people weren't running main deck artifact removal, and dealing with all the indestructible creatures you had was basically impossible. So it was just a question of whether you could outrace your opponents at that point, and I see a lot of reasons why this should be good in Commander, to be honest. It is providing a lot of stuff for 5 mana, and it's providing a lot of stuff in a hasty way, by which I mean that if you drop this as your final card when you have a big board, you can suddenly swing in with all of those creatures that have flying and indestructible, which is a great feeling to have. I think the reason that it only sees play in 1% of decks is probably because people are a little bit scared about getting blown out by instant speed removal. It can be really bad if somebody removes this once you've already committed to an attack, because suddenly all of your guys are going to lose flying, indestructible, and +1/+1, which means they're probably going to be able to be blocked very easily, and since they can die now much easier because they don't have indestructible, then you might get blown out. However, there are quite a few ways to minimize against this. You can wait for when your opponents are tapped out to drop this, and then the risk is not as great as it would normally be. You could also hold counterspell mana up or backup ways to make sure that your creatures don't get blown out in combat. It's not quite as risky as it can be if you play around the possibility of your opponents having removal. And then this card has extra upsides. Aside from suddenly being a great way to give your creatures evasion, you have the fact that it works so well with board wipes. If your board wipes are damage or destroy based, then this is just going to stop your creatures from dying to your own board wipes, which means that you can just drop this and drop a Blasphemous Act, for example, and then suddenly you're the only one with a board, which is a great feeling to have. Not only that, but there is also some decent synergy with Aristocrats effects, particularly ones that are using tokens to go wide. You want to be sacrificing creatures in those decks, so getting a free sacrifice at every upkeep is a pretty good effect to have, and you're turning the downside of this card into an effective upside while still keeping all of the benefits of being indestructible and having flying and +1/+1. So in Aristocrats and go wide decks, this doesn't really have much of a downside at all. I just think that all the upsides and the benefits that this card has in different kind of deck types mean that it should be in more than 1% of decks, particularly since it's colorless and slots into any color deck for that reason. If you haven't given this card a try as a finisher, I really suggest trying it out. It's a really powerful effect. So there you have it. Those have been my thoughts on this new spoiler. What do you think about this card? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care. Woo!